The Philadelphia 76ers didn't just push in all their chips when they agreed to extend Joel Embiid's contract yesterday. They pushed in their chips, threw in their watch, their car keys, and just for good measure, a few Tic Tacs from the bottom of their pockets. Because, let's be honest, this is the biggest gamble we will see in the NBA this year. Bigger than, will the chemistry work in Oklahoma City? Or can Kyrie really carry a team? Or will Kevin Durant tweet in the third person again? Ooh. This is reportedly a complex contract where the entire $178 million is not guaranteed. Sure, there are some outs for Philadelphia if they waive Embiid due to a career-ending injury. Some of that money only comes if Embiid hits the Supermax qualifications. But even with all that, guess what? A lot of that money still is guaranteed. The Sixers did just commit to tie up a nice chunk of their salary cap to a guy who's been able to play a grand total of 31 games over 3 seasons on minutes restrictions. You know how many games Greg Oden played in his first 3 seasons? 82 games. And of course, the particulars are different. But anytime you are on the wrong side of a Greg Oden injury comparison, well, it's not good. I mean, look, I want to make it clear that personally, I believe in Joel Embiid. I'm actually the only one up here on this panel that voted for him for Rookie of the Year, Zach Lowe, because I think even in just 31 games, you could see he was head and shoulders above his peers and how much better he made his team. But I'm the host of a television show, so I get to sit up here and talk about how great he is without having to have any personal stake or risk whatsoever. The Sixers are not so fortunate, which is why what happened yesterday happened. They didn't technically have to extend Embiid this week. They would have been totally in their rights to tell him he needs to have a prove-it season in this last year of his rookie deal. But then Embiid would have been a restricted free agent next summer, suddenly entertaining offers from other teams. And even if the Sixers matched, Embiid would always know they didn't extend him when they could have, would have always had those other teams' voices in his head. And when he becomes a real free agent, he would have carried that with him, like Gordon Hayward did this past summer. So the Sixers decided to take the gamble, push in their chips, throw in the watch, and hope the kid can stay on the court. And hey, could end up being a disaster. But also, it could end up paying off huge, which is why we all like gambling in the first place. So Woj, this is a complex deal. I want you to take us through some of the details.
Rachel, this deal is unique, maybe as unique of a deal as the NBA has seen in a long time, maybe more like a football contract. But for Philadelphia, here's the key thing. If Joel Embiid has a career-ending type injury, if that foot gives out again and he can't play and they decide to waive him, release him, let anybody else in the league have him, they get a substantial amount of that money back. That's a worst-case scenario.
But substantial isn't most of it.
It's not most of it. And for a team that, $148 million on this 5-year deal, somewhere in the neighborhood of half, somewhere between half and 60%. For Embiid, if in a worst-case scenario. But here's the thing. The question with Embiid is that foot. He had that foot surgically repaired twice. They believe it is sound now. And he had the same surgery that Brook Lopez has, who has played on it, had the same injury. This isn't about the knee injury at the end of last year. This is about the feet. And if the feet are healthy, they believe he's going to have a long, healthy career. 31 games, yes, but last year he was healthy to play a lot more games. They made a decision to hold him out and bring him back slowly. There's no question about his talent, that this is a transformational player when he's on the floor.
That's the key, though. He's got to be on the floor. And even if he's not on the floor because they're being careful with him, maybe he could play, but they're being careful. If he's not on the floor, you are still tying up a bunch of money for a guy who is not on the floor, and that's why it's a risk no matter what.
And if you're Philadelphia and you know that you could get Embiid on the floor for 60, let's say 60 out of 82 games a year, I think you absolutely pay him a max salary. He impacts winning that much.
Is that worth it for you, Stephen?
Yeah, and I just trust the process with the Colangelos running the
Listen to you. Listen to you.
I love the Colangelos.
Let's put that on a bumper sticker.
That's my guys, man. But I love what they're doing there. I think it was a great job locking him in. He could be the best big man in the league. His upside is unbelievable. Everybody loves this guy. I mean, the way he can shoot the ball and put the ball on the floor at that size, you got to lock a guy like that in, along with Simmons and Fultz coming along. I like what they're doing there, man. I think that was a great job locking them in.
There's also like a psychic value, right? We went through all this Tankapalooza to get we've got to get something for it, right? And their goal coming out of all this is, we want to try to win the championship. It sounds dumb to say it about the Sixers, but in the next 5-6 years, we want to try to win. And they're not doing that if he's not on the team. So you take care of it now, and there's some risk, obviously, but there's risk on you going the other way, too.
Yeah, absolutely, both ways. I mean, that's why we like gambling. It's going to be fun to watch.